Well, hello there. This is Kathy of kathysright.com. Welcome back. If this is your first time, you are listening to me either on YouTube, Patreon, Apple Podcast, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, and GeoSavan. If you would like to comment to me, I have a group on Facebook. It's called Kathy's Right, Conservative Discussion and Encouragement. Email me at kathysright@gmail.com, and I'll make sure to invite you to the group. So, the Democrats are true to form in everything except for one thing. For instance, let's say little Johnny isn't learning, so quite naturally paid the teachers more money, right? You don't like the election results, so quite naturally open endless investigations in the presidency. And on Donald Trump, because throwing money at it, millions and millions of dollars, for a useless investigation, which they knew was useless from the beginning, that's okay. Throw money at it, right? That's the typical Democrat answer to everything. You want to make other countries love you and like you, and send them billions and billions of dollars. So you have a problem with the quality of policing and keeping Americans safe. Let's see. Babies are getting shot, children getting shot. It's mayhem in New York, and people are afraid to go anywhere because of all the thugs and villains out there throwing pipe bombs and shooting at each other. 28, I think, was the count. It's become the wild, wild west. In Seattle, New York, well, it's been that way in Chicago. So, quite naturally, they want to defund the police. Makes perfect sense. We need more police, better trained police, more opportunities for police to learn how to de-escalate a problem. Oh, when they said defund the police, many Democrats on the television said, oh no, that's not really what they meant. They meant reimagining the police. You know what? I don't want to imagine the police if someone is breaking into my home. I mean, really, what do I do? Just close my eyes and imagine them? Reimagine them. I mean, I guess they're supposed to all be social workers now rather than police officers. And then they were talking about bringing social workers with them, putting social workers in danger because usually by the time a cop is called, there's some sort of violence or something has happened that makes everybody unsafe, which is why you call the cops. So when I'm in trouble, I'm not going to be calling for a psychiatrist or a social worker. I want somebody to come and arrest whoever's trying to hurt me. So that makes absolutely no sense to me. Defunding the police. It makes no sense. Some people don't like the police. I get that. I don't understand it, but I get, everybody doesn't like everything. But when you say defund them, it sounds punitive to me rather than something that would actually fix any sort of problem. For one thing, 99.9% of police officers go to work and do their job the best that they can because they actually care about their fellow citizens. And you're going to have a bad apple every once in a while in any profession. But I don't think we should punish the 99% of police officers and police departments because of the actions of a very, very, very small few. I know of which I speak. So we have guns out on the street right now. They're not NRA guns. These are thug guns. They buy them out of the backs of cars and in hall alleys and all sorts of, strange places. These aren't your legitimate gun owners. So that's why their gun laws made no sense and did no good because criminals don't obey the law. Ergo, they're called criminals. So when you have thugs and gangs and all of this on the streets, and then on top of that, we've just experienced a national shutdown of our businesses. And Bill de Blasio, because of his concern for his fellow man who are in prison, he released over 2,000 criminals from prison because of the Wuhan flu. That makes all kinds of sense. De Blasio, in his love affair with the admitted Marxist group who wants to raise our children as a village, the village to raise your children. Read their website if you get a chance. If it weren't so scary, if they weren't so prevalent right now and in the news, it would be even more scary, I think. But this Marxist group, Black Lives Matter, they want the village to raise your children, not you, the parent. No, they don't want nuclear families. They would like to dismantle, verbatim, they would like to dismantle the family. And just between you and me, word on the street, this village, Bill de Blasio is applying for a job of village idiot. I think he's going to get it. He came out of his hole recently. He came out of his hole, kind of like a groundhog, and came out just long enough to get the photo op of him aiding and abetting the desecration of people ruining public property. They were painting, graffitiing a city street near Trump Tower. Black Lives Matter in gaudy, awful yellow. The same color as the taxicabs in New York. That awful yellow. I don't like that color. I know I see people actually drive new cars off of parking lots. I'm like, why would you want your car to look like a cab? But, that's their money. I can't tell people how to spend their money. But he was out there helping them paint the street. Graffitiing. BLM. That sign, it was awful looking. And the color escapes me. I can't imagine. I can use that color in art in some way, I'm sure. But it was hideous. And de Blasio has abandoned the police officers of New York City, making them stand down and not arrest people who deserve to go to jail for looting and pillaging and pandemonium and terror. Normal people feared for their lives while young crazy people were out on the street shooting off guns, fireworks, all sorts of noisemakers. They showed pictures of it, actual pictures of a New York City police officers who were told to do nothing. They were driving through, and behind them, you could see gunfire or fireworks, it looked like. Just people being completely randomly wild, and it was anarchy. It was total anarchy. Who can live like that? I don't know anyone who wants to live like that. I heard there's a big exodus of people leaving New York and leaving New York City for good. Yeah, now that they've turned it totally blue and it's run by all of these idiots, then they leave and they're going to bring their nonsense outside of the city to neighborhoods like mine and ruin us. I don't want any more liberals. We have a couple of liberals that live out here. Now that I know who they are, I stay away because I really don't need the drama, because they bring drama with them. They love drama. Anyways, I don't like drama. I like a calm, peaceful life. I like when people walk in my house and go, oh, your house feels so peaceful. Thank you. That was the whole idea. Decorate your house to where it brings you peace. So, fireworks, anarchy, and de Blasio and other Democrat mayors allowed the dangerous chaos to just go on and get out of control. And speaking of on behalf of the village idiots everywhere, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC, explained the situation. She said that people were just stealing things like bread because they needed to feed their children. And she said the reason for this was unemployment. So these are just really needy people who were wanting to feed their kids that were out there with the guns and the bottles and making all that noise. And oh my, really, Alexander, do you really think we're that stupid? I mean, you might be, but I don't think, well, to assume our ignorance. The Democrats count on us being ignorant. They count it. They rely on it. All of their constituents, all of the people that vote for them, they rely on the fact that they remain ignorant and only watch CNN News. Because if you only watch CNN News, you'll vote for a Democrat every time because you've been lied to, but you don't know it's a lie because they do it every day and they never apologize and they never go take it back. They never take anything back. So if AOC hadn't put the kibosh on Amazon opening up there, that would have provided over 1,000 jobs, maybe 2,000, a lot of good paying jobs at Amazon, there would have been those jobs for these people. And Amazon was pretty much immune to the whole shutdown because they were essential and everybody's stuck at home and they have to order everything because you can't go anywhere. So these people would have been sitting pretty if AOC hadn't have gotten in the way of Amazon opening up in New York, in her neighborhood. And they're making a profit right now. They're doing quite well. So thank you, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. New York City, 28 shootings in one weekend. Those are just the ones that were reported. You know, there's some that they don't report because if you have a gunshot wound, if you present with a gunshot wound in the hospital, they have to call the police. They're obliged to. So there are sometimes people who get shot that don't because they don't want to have to answer questions from the police. So these 28 shootings in one weekend, small children, one was a 1.5-year-old, one child was shot in a stroller. This is horrible. I mean, can you imagine being in a place that's not safe enough for you to have your baby in a stroller? Less than a few miles away from this carnage of all these people being shot and hurt and maimed, ABC News, that's where the studio for ABC News, they shoot The View there. You know, The View. I watch The View, so you don't have to. And those 4 women, they're all mothers. So you would think that the unsafety and the killings going on around them and the rest of the Democrat-run cities, you'd think that the hostesses of The View would at least send out one of their phony thoughts and prayer things. They didn't. They didn't even acknowledge that there was violence going on, that there was a problem. Not even Megan. She's turning out to be just like her daddy, a turncoat. So this was predictable, but I didn't know to the level of how they would just ignore the violence and what's going on in these cities. And maybe I was hoping for too much. You know, they are the bastions of truth after all. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I can't say that without laughing. Bastions of truth and light. Nary a word from them. Their concern went to the resignation of the head writer for Tucker Carlson. For tweeting something racist. The head writer for Tucker Carlson tweeted something racist on Twitter. I haven't been able to find it. They must have taken it down. And he got fired, and that was their whole show. That was it. All that's going on in the world, that's the only thing they wanted to talk about. Then they had Amy Schumer on there, and they mentioned just a smidgen about cancel culture, and Amy said, well, some people need to be canceled, you know, being the true liberal left-wing kook that she is. So, yeah, somebody tweeted something racist about somebody else, and that meant somebody had to actually break the law to find that out because the tweets were made under an alias name. So in order to find that, somebody had to really go into somebody else's business, which I think is illegal, to find that out. And if they're racist, you know, that's evil to be racist. But do I care? Not really. I mean, so long as they don't do anything racist or get in the way of somebody's job or somebody, you know, there's people who harbor weird feelings, and they're all over the internet. There's people with double lives online everywhere. But it does affect how people perceive them, which is why he would have probably been fired anyway, because perception is everything in the media. So, yeah, I don't know who the person was. His first name was Neth. Nef, which I found to be an unusual name. Maybe it's foreign, I don't know. But you need to know who your enemies are. I like to know if someone near me is a racist rather than being a closet racist. Those are the worst. The closet racists, those are your typical liberals. Like for instance, remember that lady in Central Park who this black guy told her that she needed to put her dog on a leash in that part of the park. It was required. And so she called the police, even though he wasn't near her or touching her or anything. And she reported that he was threatening her. And here she was. And he was an African-American male. How much you want to bet that New Yorker was a liberal? Because those are the closet racist. They say all these pretty things, you know, black people are my people. I love black people. Some of my best friends are black people. You know, those are the ones that really drive me crazy. Those are the ones that want to be your best friend all of a sudden just because I'm black. And then you find out, because of the little things that they say, that they're really racist. And then they do liberal things like make big issues out of itty bitty issues that mean absolutely nothing. And they do that on purpose so they can save you because they're so liberal and they love black people. But they're the ones that want me to say Black Lives Matter. I've actually had I'm not going to say friend, that's really stretching it, but I actually had a liberal acquaintance. She goes, why won't you say Black Lives Matter? She wanted me to say it for her, like I was performing like for her. I'm like, no, I'm not saying it just because you want me to say it. All lives matter, but you won't say it. It was like a dare. So here you have this white woman liberal daring me, a 58-year-old black woman who's been through some stuff, and she wants me to say what she wants me. That's all kinds of racist and all kinds of condescension and all kinds of, that's why I don't want any new friends. If I find out somebody is a liberal, that's the end of the conversation. We will not be friends at this point. I have had liberal friends. I've been treated like crap by my liberal friends. They say that, oh, it's okay that we disagree until you disagree, and then that you're not allowed to say your opinion, but they could say their opinion all day long. But as soon as you say something conservative, they're jumping on you like you don't. They told me, I've been told by a young male, white male, college educated, smart guy. And he said to me, he goes, Kathy, I don't think you really understand systemic racism. To me, dude, you see who you're even talking to? And because I didn't want to ruin the evening for everyone, because we were all together, I just sort of bit my tongue and drank a couple of extra glasses of wine because my tongue hurt. But it was just ridiculous. This is how they treat me. Can you believe that? They have the nerve to tell me I don't understand systemic racism. I know of racism they don't even have a clue about. There's all sorts of different racisms they don't even know about. I mean, really, it's not all black and white. It really is. There's racism within the black community, kitchen table talk. There's racism within the Mexican American community. There's racism. But they don't have a fancy word for it, like systemic racism. Well, some people call it colorism, but it does exist. I know that when I was growing up, I remember some guys that I had crushes on, and they only wanted girlfriends who were really light skinned. And because I always did some sort of sport, I was always tan. So, I was not light skinned, and that was racism within our own race. So there is plenty of racism to go around. If you look for it, you'll find it. It's just like dirt. If you look for enough dirt, you're going to find it. But it's not so prevalent that it has to intrude upon anyone's life. It really doesn't have to, unless you want it to. If you look for it around every corner, you're going to find it around every corner, and you'll be the most stressed out human being on earth. Because for me, I don't look for it. I just assume everybody's going to be nice until they prove otherwise. And once you prove otherwise, now I know who you are. That's how I am. But I just assume everybody's going to be nice. I'm going to hope everybody's going to be nice. But yeah, the fact that Sunny Hostin on The View did not even mention all of the mayhem, all of the crime on the show 2 days in a row now. And then she says that we're, the ones that are deaf, that we're not woke. Oh my gosh. The hypocrisy, you could sink your teeth into the hypocrisy. These people are totally hypocritical, and they get on the news and call everybody else horrible names when they themselves are the horrible ones. That's called projection. Whatever they project onto you, a conservative, that's really what they're doing themselves. Almost every time. So when they call you a racist, that's something that they're battling with themselves, within themselves. So I'm here to offer you a little solace. Most people don't care. These things that these kids are telling us, oh, you can't say this, political correctness gone a wreck, and you can't say that. It's craziness. We are all human beings, and we're all faulty in some strange way. But I think that when you're hypocritical, it's really interesting that you go on national TV and show the world how hypocritical you are. Yeah, you care about black people. And she always, Sunny Hostin, I know I had to have that talk with my son because he is a black male. And she acts so put upon. Oh my God, the woman, yet you had such a rough life, Sunny Hostin. You get up every morning and you get picked up by a limousine and driven to work, and you get your makeup done by professionals and your hair is done for you. And then you get back in that limousine and you go home to your house in Martha's Vineyard or the Hamptons or something like that. That's how racist this country is. That's ridiculous. I mean, I would buy that from somebody who maybe was poor, or unfortunate looking, but I'm not buying that from you, Sunny Hostin. By the way, she has banned me. She blocked me from her View account because I'm always tapping into her because she always says things like, well, I'm Catholic, but I'm Catholic. I'm Catholic. She says she's Catholic, but it's okay for everybody else to kill their children. I'm Catholic, but she's a phony. So I tell her, stop saying you're Catholic. It's hard enough. We've got a bad reputation, what with the bad priest on your news all the time. You notice how many movies, every single movie that comes out of Hollywood is about a bad priest? Every single one. Not since the Bells of St. Mary has there been one that has a positive image of a priest. And I know a lot of really holy priests. But they want to keep doing that. And guess why? Because of the pedophile ring in Hollywood. They're projecting what they're doing and what they're around. They're projecting and putting it on us. So we take the attention off of what they're doing and on to the less than 1%, like the police, less than 1% of those bad priests that, should be hung by the balls to begin with because they don't belong in the church. They betrayed Christ just like Judas. In my opinion, they're no better than Judas. And the church has done a great job of getting rid of them lately. I have to go to this class every 3 years, ethics class. And we have to watch films about how to spot people who might not be being appropriate with the young and the old, people who are vulnerable. And it's very uncomfortable to go to this class. But everybody has to do it in the entire church all over the country. I've been doing it since 1997 because I'm involved in ministry at my church. And it's a film, the film part. We have a discussion and we have a book and everything. We're talking about how to recognize situations and people who might be in error. And we are advised not to go to the bishop. We need to go to CPS or the police. This isn't a hierarchical thing. The church is done with this. We are done. And so, that is what we have to do. Every priest has to go through this class, everyone involved in ministry. And I don't mind doing it because I love serving God in the ministry. So that is what we do. And we have gone through a lot to correct this travesty of what happened. And the police are going to have to go through a lot to correct what's going on with the police department right now, because that's a travesty. Because one bad apple makes all the police look bad to these people. They've seen too many movies. And they're affected negatively because they're simple-minded people. Simple as that. But it's that's why I can totally identify with the police officers, because I understand. I remember when the scandal was terrible in our church, and I have two very good friends who are priests in San Diego. Well, one is a missionary priest in Nicaragua right now, but they are very holy men and very devout and very. They take their vows very seriously. And I'm telling you, for them, it was the most painful thing to be a priest when all of the scandals were going on. It was the most painful thing. And my heart broke for them. Couldn't even wear your collar, outside of the church because people had such a negative view of all priests because of the bad ones that have been kicked out. Those ones. Now you have to realize the church was infiltrated during the 50s and 40s by communists. And the communists, there was a lady hurt by the last name of Dodd. She was a former communist. She eventually converted to Catholicism. And she was talking about how they had paid, the Communist Party in America had paid for 1,100 young men to join in the seminary. And you wonder where these bad priests came from? My bet is that. Because why would you do that? Why would you do that? And it's proven. So you could look it up. Make sure you check your sources, though, because I've seen some dubious sources that don't really reflect what actually happened. But every church, but the devil knows who his true enemy is. The devil knows his true enemy are the holy priest. So how better to harm the priesthood than to hurt the innocent? And so we went through this thing, and when I was in California, where satanic people were sending people into the church to take our communion so they could go and take our Eucharist for a black mass. And I was a Eucharistic minister. And so one of my jobs was to keep an eye on people. If you saw somebody and they didn't take the communion into their mouth, the satanic people, they were good at sending children in. They would send children and teens so that would come and get the communion. And you could kind of sniff them out, because when they come up to the line, they would say something. Instead of saying what they're supposed to say, they would say, "Thank you." And you're like, what? That's not the response that you're supposed to say when you say body of Christ. And so these people were very dubious. And so, a couple of times since I've been in ministry, I have stopped the people in my line, and I will go to that person. In 2 cases, it was teenage girls. And I said, "Would you please consume the Eucharist or give it back?" And one gave me back my Eucharist, and the other one consumed it, which is on her. But that's what I do. And so I'm not going to let somebody walk out of my church with my Jesus. No, I'll stop you at the door. So these are the things that we're battling. I don't know what's going on in the Protestant churches, but to my knowledge, they don't get that. They don't get people coming in there to steal their communion, because the Catholic communion is the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Christ. And so obviously, it's scary. It gives me chills because I think about it. It was creepy, but you have to be firm. You have to be on top of things. When you have communion, I brought communion to the sick, and I have to put it in a special pyx, and I keep it around my shoulders, and it hangs on my chest until I can get to the sick person that I'm bringing communion to. People have died protecting communion. People have died. I've read stories, old stories, in Italy mostly, about this one young boy who was taking communion to his sick uncle from the mass. And he was accosted by a bunch of other boys, bullies, and they ended up killing him. And when they found his body, in his hand, he was still clutching communion, and he would not let them take it. And I'll never forget that story. I read that a long time ago. That was before I became a Eucharistic minister. Now I'm kind of out of work because the churches don't allow us to serve the blood of Christ at this point. So hopefully that'll come back after this whole Corona nightmare. But it's definitely affecting our service. But you still get Jesus completely in the Eucharist in either form. Even if you just get a crumb, you're still getting Jesus completely. And he wants to be a part of you and you be a part of him. That's what it's all about. That's why we have communion. He wants to share himself with you and you with him in a divine and holy way, pure way. So that's what was going on back there. Now let's get back to here, the here and the now. Boy, oh boy, I'm about done with de Blasio and Cuomo and that broad who's the mayor of Seattle. Remember, she said, oh, maybe it's going to be the summer of love. This is not the summer of love, lady. This is not. And now they're trying to get her out of office. Thank goodness. Thank goodness somebody's coming to their senses. I predict, before I go off the air here, I predict that there are going to be a lot of defections from the Democratic Party this next election. They're concentrating on who's going to vote for Trump or Biden. And I'm not sure if Biden's going to even debate Trump. I doubt it. I think they're going to have a way out because I don't think he can handle himself. I think they're going to say he got the corona or something. And then, oh, well, mercy, he got well right after the debates was supposed to happen. The first debate is supposed to be September 29th. I don't know what channel, but I'm looking forward to it. But I doubt he'll be there. You think he'll make it? A lot of changes are coming. Ruth Ginsburg is still in the hospital. for an infection, they say. I don't think we'll ever get the full story. But if we can get Trump in there, we may get 2 more conservative judges. The last 2, well, one of the last 2 was kind of a disappointment. But we need more pro-life Supreme Court justices. And I know everybody thinks something may happen to Ginsburg because she's just so frail and so old. But any of them could have a stroke or something. I'm not hoping for it, but it could happen at their ages. It could happen. So we need to get Trump in there like our life depended on it, because the life of this country really does depend on it. It depends on you and your vote. And make sure you get out there and vote, and tell your friends and neighbors who are conservative to vote. Tell your Democrat friends to stay home. Tell them that the election's the next day. Say, no, stay home. You guys stay home. You don't need to go anywhere. But anyways, I'm just really thankful right now. My friend, her name is Felicity Joy. She helped me learn how to use some equipment that I'm going to be doing my video show. And I'm going to have guests and everything. So you guys hang tight. This is going to be fun. She taught me a great deal in a very short amount of time. And she's such a nice person. She's my sister in Christ. God bless her. And she has a show. I love her show. It's called Black Conservative Female. I've been on it. It was awesome. They have great conversation. I didn't say much because I was kind of in awe, because the people that I was talking to were people I've been listening to and paying attention to, like Stephanie Trussell, who I've been listening to her. I've listened to her for years. And then Janice Gilmore. I'm reading her book. I'm almost just about done. It's a wonderful book. It's called Scapegoat. And it's a really good Christian book. You really need to get that book. It's called Scapegoat. But Felicity, thank you so much for helping me. I'll be talking to you soon. And I hope you're doing great. I know you're out there fighting the good fight for our conservative causes. And I'm with you 100%. 100%. You're an awesome human being. I wish there's more people like that. I think there are more people like that. We just don't see them on TV because they only put liberal idiots on TV, like Bill de Blasio. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad I don't think I said too many. Did I say a cuss word? I think I got through this whole show with that one single cuss word. Yay! That's something I'm working on. Sorry, I do have a potty mouth. I don't know where it came from. I do. I really don't know where it came from, but I'm trying to work on it. That's why I always put explicit on my show, because explicit kind of covers me in case somebody's child is watching or listening to one of my shows. If it slips, I don't want any parent to think, oh, well, I should have known that might have happened. That I'm not going to drop the F-bomb. I hate that word. But my favorite curse words, they're like entrenched into me, and I have a hard time. But anyways, there's something called self-control that I need to ask for the grace of self-control. But I'm kind of scared and leery of asking for different graces, because whenever I do, God tries, like I'm not going to ask for patience, because God will try your patience. Like that time I asked for an increase in faith. I got double pneumonia and 6 weeks in a hospital with my lungs getting drained. But guess what? I was reading the Bible every single day. I was reading all the scripture readings, and I got closer to God. And guess what? I got better after having my last rites twice. And I got better, and I have a great deal of faith, more than most people apparently, but I do. And I think that we're going to get out of this as a country. We're stronger than these people. They are outnumbered and outgunned. They think they're powerful now because they're the ones on TV. But you get them out in the suburbs, and they're going to be in trouble. They are going to be in trouble, because these old people out here, especially in Texas, they shoot first and ask questions later. So these Marxists have brought a knife to a gunfight, baby. And even if they have a couple little pistols, they don't know how to use them like Texans do. So they better watch their P's and Q's, and don't mess with Texas. That's all I got to say. This is Kathy of kathysright.com. Make sure you subscribe and come back. I am now on Patreon, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, GeoSavant, that's in India. And you can email me at kathysright@gmail.com. Kathy's Right Conservative Discussion and Encouragement, that is my group on Facebook. We talk about the show and other things. There's just so much going on. I could do this all day. I probably should, but then you'd get tired of me. So I don't want you to get tired of me. I want you to come back tomorrow or the next day. I've got shows back to back that I've written out all the subjects I want to talk about. And I really need you to be there. I want you to be a part of my life. That's why if you go over to Patreon, you'll get a little bit of extras. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Either I'm going to auction it off. No, I don't want to auction. I want to do polls, and I want to find out, I'm going to be giving away a couple of my original works of art. I also sell my art, and you can see all of my art on my website. I have it set up completely right now. I just have a couple of shows on there, but I'm now in the process of photographing my art so that I can present it better for you. And this is going to be a wonderful experience for all of us. I think that this world, in all of the ugliness that we see on TV, there are still beautiful people, and there's still beautiful things, and there are beautiful things to learn. And we're all, I think, inside, we all have a spark of genius in us. And I think that that goal in life should be looking to God, to ask him to help us find that spark, because he placed it there himself. So you've got that spark. I've got that spark. Let's keep that spark going. I love you. This is Kathy of kathysright.com. And bye.